Good morning. Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome, everyone. It is time. It is time now. It is time. All right, it's time now. Please let me know that you can hear me. I would love to see our comments. For those of us that are here, if you're here, just let me know that you're here. I'd love to see our comments, whether you're watching from YouTube directly or from Telegram. I'm really, really, really excited to have everyone here. All right, I'm super excited because today is going to be amazing. So if you're here, can I just see you on the chat box? Can you just tell me where you're streaming from? Tell me where you're streaming from. You're streaming from Lagos, you're streaming from Ogun State, you're streaming from outside of Nigeria. Let me know where you're streaming from. I just want to see us. I want to see us come up. Can I know where you're streaming from? Can I know where you're streaming from? Whether you're on YouTube or you're on Telegram. Can I see our comments? I might not be able to see on Telegram, but I'll be able to see on YouTube. Can I see where we're streaming from this morning? I am really so excited because what I'm about to share this morning is it's something that everybody needs, right? And that's why I'm super excited. But I'd like to know where we're streaming from this morning. So can you just kindly let me know in the chat box? I want to see us. I want to see us there if I can. I can see some people are on board. I'd like to see if you're here. Where are you streaming from? Are you streaming from Lagos, from Ogun State, from wherever? I'd like to also see us there. And if we could do a favor, trains like this are so important. If you could do someone a favor by reposting the flyer, sending it to a class group, why? Because somebody might need it. Somebody just might need it, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, I can see someone from Oyo State. Thank you. Super glad to have you here. Super glad to have you here. All right, so I'm just going to start and we're just going to jump right in. And anyone that's going to be joining us, or if you're going to be watching this video after the session, I want to say welcome to the CV and job search hacks webinar, right? I want to welcome you all. My name is Ololade Ige, and today we're going to be exploring what simple yet powerful hacks that you need for your job and for your CV, right? So I'm going to be explaining some things to us, and the goal basically is to help you understand what recruiters look out for in your CV and share job search strategies that can make you stand out. You see, the problem most times why people don't get jobs is not necessarily even that you're not qualified, but it's because we don't even know what they are looking for. And so we don't know what to provide as the information, right? And so I just want to start by asking us a few questions, and I would love that I can get responses from us, right? Before we really like dive into it, I want to ask, let me know in the chat, have you applied for a job before and you didn't get called back? Have you applied for a job and you didn't get called back for the interview? Can I just see that, okay, I've had the experience before that I applied for a job and I didn't get an interview? And by the way, whether you're a student, you're a graduate, or you're just someone that is looking to, really expand your knowledge, this is really for you because students get jobs even while on campus. So yeah, I want to hear from you. Is this if you've ever applied for a job and you didn't get called back, for an interview? Can I see you? Okay, someone says no. All right. Any other person? Any other person? Just maybe one more response and then I'll kick start. Any other person? Because you see, a lot of times we apply for jobs wrongly, right? Okay, someone says yes. Thank you. We apply for jobs wrongly, and that's usually what the problem is. And if I'm also to ask you, how many of us have updated our CV in the last 6 months? Let me ask that question as well. How many of us have updated our CV in the last 6 months? Meaning, in the last 6 months, you've updated your CV, maybe with new skills, or you can I see us? Okay, someone says yes. All right. So you see, these are several things. I hear people say, "Oh, I have my CV, and I've had your CV for since 2019." I mean, it's We can't expect optimum results when we're doing less than what we should. So I just want to welcome everyone once again, right? I want to welcome you guys. It means a lot to me that you're here, that you're interested in your growth, right? And trust me, you're in for a ride. So I'm going to be sharing my screen briefly. I'm going to be sharing my screen briefly. I'm just going to be explaining what we're here to do. All right. So please follow me. And like I said, you can always share the flyer link, right? So that someone else can join in. So, what are the expectations of the session today? Um, Basically, I want you to learn what recruiters look out for in CV. So you actually know what you put in your CV, right? You also need to understand how a great CV increases your chances of an interview. Now, maybe you're here and you created your CV on Microsoft Word. I'm here for you. Like, I'm here to come for you because why are you creating your CV on Microsoft Word, or you are just typing a document? You cannot get optimum results that way. So I want to help you understand how a great CV increases your chances of an interview, and to learn the common mistakes that job seekers also make, right? And then also to help you with strategies that can help you to stand out in the job search market. And basically, you are not too young to even know these things. Whether you're a student or you're a graduate, it's not too late for you to know these things. So I'm going to be sharing my slides. Please, okay, I'm going to share my slides. I hope we can all see it. I hope we can all see my screen. Can we all see my slide? I think it's up now. Okay, so basically this webinar is to equip you with the knowledge and strategies to create a compelling CV. So you're able to navigate a proper job and get everything that you need, right? And get everything. All right, thank you for your response. And get everything that you need. Basically, when you've got a great CV, you've got a great chance. Let me just put it like that. When you've got a great CV, you've got a great chance at improving your job search. Now, what is the power of a great CV? Now, let me explain what a CV does. A CV, basically, we call a CV a curriculum vitae. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty in that sense. I'm just going to talk straight because I want to believe if you are here, you know what a CV is, right? What does this great CV do, right? A great CV catches the recruiter's attention within seconds. Now, one of the things I put up when I sent the flyer was that you literally only have 3 seconds. Some people say six. So between, let's just say between 3 to 6 seconds to actually prove that your CV is worth your recruiter's time. What do I mean by that? Now, several people have applied for jobs, and you have 100 people applying for a job, and I'm seeing your CV, and your CV looks like it came out from, I'm seeing your CV and it looks like it came out from Microsoft Word. I'm like, no, this is not giving, you know. Or I'm looking at your CV and I'm seeing that you don't have, there are certain things that are not there. So I must be able to see your CV and then it looks good. And I'm going to show you what those things actually are. Number two, a great CV also helps you to pass an applicant tracking system. Now, what is an applicant tracking system? Does anybody know what that is? An applicant tracking system. Now, for those of us that apply on other platforms like maybe LinkedIn, right? There is something we call an applicant tracking system, or you apply to big companies that have lots of applicants coming in at several times. There's something we call the applicant tracking system. So basically, it's like a software that it's not human based. So basically, it's a software where you just your CV just passes through the software. So if your CV does not meet certain criteria, then you fail, and then that's why you don't get called back for an interview, right? A great CV also what helps you to position as the right fit before an interview. Now, when I'm looking at your CV as a recruiter, I want to be able to say, wow, this person has what it takes based on paper, right? Because CV is based on paper. Based on paper, this person has what it takes to fit in for this job, right? It also helps to highlight your key strengths and achievements. I've gone through some CVs, over the course of time, and I see people highlighting some things that are really not necessary. What they want to see is what you've been able to achieve. And I'm going to explain a bit of that as well. Not just I was this, I was that, but want to be able to see, okay, you were this, what did you achieve? Because positions and titles are not, are not really the criteria of, you standing out. What do I mean by that? That you were maybe for students, I'm going to use like school setting, you were a vice president, you were a president, doesn't really mean much if you cannot tell us what you were able to achieve, right? So I want us to just type it out. The achievements outweigh just the position. Achievements outweigh just what you did. So achievements are the main thing, right? And the last thing a CV does is that it also helps you increase your interview conversion rate. And that's what I'm going to be talking about here, where we talk about what a CV cannot do. But a CV is supposed to help you to increase your chances of getting in for an interview. So what does a CV not do? Now, I reach out to a lot of people and I've done quite a number of CVs for people. And I hear things like, oh, I didn't get the job, right? A CV does not guarantee a job. I hope we got that. A CV does not guarantee a job. Maybe that sounds like what? But yeah, it doesn't. Your performance at the interview is what matters. Your CV only lands you an interview. So I want you to see the difference between a CV and like knowing exactly what a CV is. Your CV doesn't get you the job, it gets you an interview. You now have to prove yourself during the interview that I am what I say I am on paper. And that's the biggest mistake people have. You have an extremely great CV, but you cannot back it up at the interview. And so you get called for an interview. That means your CV was good enough and it passed the test. But you don't get called for an interview. It's not the CV's fault. You're the one, right? Another thing a CV cannot do is CV cannot make up for a wrong job application. Now, I see a lot of times that, I speak to young people, graduates. I'm also a graduate, right? And I speak to young people like my age, and like, oh, I'm just applying for lots of jobs. And the truth is, yeah, maybe you want to be, maybe you're applying for a job of a graphic designer, right? And you're just applying for every job as a graphic designer. You're going to fail. Let me give you an example. So, okay, let me move down before I give this example. The third one is a CV cannot overcome a bad company fit. Now, this is so important, and it's part of where I'm going to share my example, right? So don't laugh. But initially, when I started to look for jobs, I ended up applying for a particular job. Now, I was just looking, I just wanted to be, because I'm a social media manager as well. So I wanted to just, get a social media management job. I was just out of school. I just wanted something, right? And I just started applying anywhere they were looking for a social media manager. I didn't check the description. I didn't check what they needed. I didn't even check, sometimes I didn't even know what the company was. So whether it was a tech company, whether it was a fashion brand, I didn't even know. Like, you want a social media manager, you got me. And at the end of the day, I got called for a particular interview, obviously, because my CV did its job. And I got called, and in fact, the interview was just so obvious that we were not right for each other, you know. And they were asking me questions, and I was like, yeah, yeah, and yeah, you've got the skills, but you have no interest in this particular line of business. So a CV cannot save you from a bad company fit. Or maybe you're applying to a company that has maybe they have poor standards, maybe they are offering you less and all of that. So I wouldn't go too much into that. But basically, I'm going to say this: your CV is your first impression. I hope we can still hear me. Your CV is your first impression. And that's why they say first impression matters, right? So your CV cannot be drafted on Microsoft Word. Should not. It's a taboo, please. If you've been doing that, then you need to what? You need to change your mindset and look for better ways of getting your CV done, right? So I tell people that pay for quality that will guarantee you even much more. Many people do mediocre CV and then you expect to get jobs. You go 2 years and you still have not gotten a job. You've not landed an interview, rather. That means there's a problem with your CV. Okay, so your CV basically is your first impression. I like if I can see a few of us really typing because I cannot exactly see how many people are connected again, right? So we're going to move to the next category of the next section of the training, and I hope we're gaining value. If you're gaining value, just say value. If you gain value up until this point, I'd like you to just type value in the comment section so I know that you actually gain value. Can I see or just type value, value? Let me know. All right. So the next part is very crucial, and I'm going to explain to us what recruiters actually look for in a CV. I'm going to explain to us what recruiters actually, I'm not going to talk about the elements of a CV. I mean, I'm sure if you are conversant with a CV, you know your CV should have certain criteria like your contact information, your profile summary, your skills, work experience, and all of that. So I'm just going to go dive in directly into what your recruiters actually look out for, right? The first thing is, let me move to the next slide. Okay, I'm going to take off my camera so that you can see the slide properly. Okay, so the first thing is number one, they want to see your CV format and structure. Now, I'm looking at your CV. If I'm a recruiter and okay, I don't have examples right here, but I'll share examples on the group chat. So if you're not on the WhatsApp group, if you're watching this afterwards, please check the description to get the WhatsApp group so that you can be a part of it. So I'm going to share an example of how it looks like. So you have a simple CV. Your CV should look simple, professional, and like I said, what ATS friendly. Does anybody remember what ATS is? Does anybody remember what I called ATS? Does anybody remember what I called ATS when I talked about it? That's applicant tracking system, right? All right. So your CV is meant to look simple, emphasis on simple, guys. Nobody needs to see all the colors. I've seen a lot. I've seen CVs with so much color. So your CV has to look professional as well. It cannot, even if you're a student, your CV should not look like it came out from Barney or something, right? So you should have simple sections, clearly divided. You know, don't try to tell us, I was responsible for. Just go straight into it. Number two, recruiters are looking for the keywords. So imagine a recruiter picking up your CV and you're applying for the job. Let's say you're applying for a social media management job, right? You're applying for a social media management job, and there's nothing like we're not seeing anything like management. We're not seeing anything like media. We're not seeing anything like metrics. We're not seeing anything like social media metrics in your this thing. We're not seeing anything like community engagement in your. These are keywords, and you know these things are not necessarily they are not necessarily very available to people because if you are not very conversant with what you're applying for, you will not even know what the keywords for your industry are. So your keyword, there should be keywords. I'm applying for the job of a nurse. I should have keywords like um, patient care. You know, do you understand what I mean? So there should be keywords matching your industry. If those keywords are not there, if it passes through an ATS filter, it is not going to make the cut. And then you're not going to be angry at the person that created your CV for you. Meanwhile, the problem was you. Number three, achievements and responsibilities. Now, I'm going to give an example, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes. Instead of you writing something like, okay, I manage a sales team, rather than saying that, say, I increased sales by 40% in 6 months. Why? Because people want to see what you're able to do. Remember, responsibilities over what? Over achievement. Rather, achievement over responsibilities. I hope we got that. Achievement always over responsibilities. You don't want to go and be bombarding them and say, I was the treasurer. So, as you were the treasurer, what value did you provide? Do you understand? The fourth thing is work experience, right? So, they want to know what your work experience basically is. They want to know the things that you were able to do, progression. Now, I've seen people say, okay, I want a general CV, and I'm going to talk about that later. There is no such thing as a general CV. Have I broken somebody's table? There's no such thing as a general CV. Your CV ought to be tailored to your work. So for those of us that are multifaceted, right, you need to have a CV per the area of industry that you're working in. So when we talk about work gaps, we want to see your career progression. We want to see where you started from and where you are right now. We want to see the skills, the certifications that you have. And that's why when I create CVs for people and people tell me, oh, I don't have any certification. I'm like, no, think. Even some of the certifications that you have in school are very, very important. And that's why I will encourage anybody that's a student, leverage on the fact that you're in school, right? Leverage on the fact that you're in school and be able to reach out and gain certification for things that are inclined with your brand or whatever it is that you want to do. Say, for example, you're an engineering student, take some random free trainings where you get a certificate. I mean, it does a whole lot to boost your CV. Number five is your contact details and professional branding. So, no unprofessional email. Don't send an email like cute girl 99, make sure that your email is professional and it looks good, right? Your LinkedIn profile as well. I said your CV basically is what I mentioned something before about your CV being your first impression, right? Your profile, your LinkedIn profile as well is more or less like your second impression. And that's why I tell people that as much as you're doing your CV, focus on your LinkedIn as well. Because most people will ask you, they don't want to know what your Instagram is. I see people put their Instagram on their CV. It's not quite necessary, except maybe it's in tune with your line of work. Maybe you're a social media manager or whatever. So they might want to see what you do on social media. But your LinkedIn is your second impression. Do we understand that? How many of us have active LinkedIn pages here? When I say active, I mean like you've posted in the last 3 months. Or 3 months is even too long, but let me just say you posted on your LinkedIn page in the last 2 months. Let me see you. Let me see. Is there anyone like that? You've posted on your LinkedIn in the last 2 months. Someone says, I'm trying, right? You see, LinkedIn is another way to actually prove yourself. If I'm going through your LinkedIn, I want to see that you have an account. All right, that's good enough, but it's not the best, right? You need to also be able to optimize your page, right? When people come to your LinkedIn page, they should be able to see exactly whatever they would see on your CV, right? So let's go to the next part, and I'm going to let you see my face once more. Okay, so I believe I'm back on your screen. All right, so we're looking at the next one. Someone says me, okay, so you've got a profile. So as much as you've got a profile, you also need to post, right? You need to post. People need to know what you do, right? People need to know what you do. So I've talked about what recruiters look for in a CV, and I believe I have, you know, delved into that um quite extensively, right? I don't know. Okay, maybe if you have questions in between, I'll appreciate that your questions come in, right? Because I might not necessarily have a session for questioning. So if you have questions, just put it down in the chat box and I will reply as we move along. Now, this particular part is one of the most important parts of your CV. Why a great CV alone will not get you the job, right? Why a great CV alone will not get you the job. But sorry, 1 minute. Before I go into that, right, I just want to go over a bit of some of the things that I mentioned earlier, right? When we're talking about what a recruiter looks like. So maybe I should go back to the next slide. And the reason is because this is actually like the most vital part. So I just want to um, emphasize it. I don't think I mentioned it enough about tailoring your CV, right? Tailoring your CV is super, super important. It is super, super important. One size doesn't fit all. Do you get it? One size does not fit all. You don't expect that you will have one particular CV all the time, or you have not updated your CV. I asked a question earlier. How many of us have updated our CV in the last, let's say, in the last 6 months? How many of us have updated our CV in the last 6 months? Let me see us. If you've updated your CV in the last 6 months, let me see you. Let me see you. Because it is so important. Your CV cannot be lacking in that sense. Because if you don't have the current update of whatever it is that you are doing, then you're just providing incompetent work and nobody's going to take you seriously. So always tweak your CV to serve the job you are applying for. I just saw a question now. I'll come to that. But let me just finish this train of thought. Right? Tweak your CV to highlight the skills and experiences that are most relevant to that role. I didn't add it in the slide, but I'm just going to mention it. Now, why am I saying this? Because now, for example, you're applying for a job. I want to try to be as practical as possible so you actually understand. You're applying for a job like, let's say, um, let me just say social media management, right? And you don't have any skill sets in community management. You're not saying anything about you're not saying anything about hashtag tracking, right? You're not saying about any like research of hashtags. You're not saying anything about content calendars. You're not saying anything about those particular things as the main skills. Okay, if I'm to ask you a question, what are the main skills that are attached to whatever line of work or whatever line that you do? Those are the things you need to focus on. Let me give you an example, a very classic example. I'm also a nurse, right? And so when I was applying for my nursing internship, I had no doubt I was going to be called for the interview. Why? Because I knew my CV was good. It wasn't just optimized, but it had the necessary things, meaning that I had gained necessary skills and experience in relation to my line of work. I tell people when you're in school, I'm just giving you this free of charge right now because it's not even part of what I initially planned to say. But when you're in school, leverage on the opportunities around you. Now, for example, I said I was a nursing student, right? And so I would make sure that I was attending free when we have free workshops. I remember there were times where we would do free health check, we'll go for health talk. And sometimes I'll just call my friend, I'm like, let's go for a health talk. Those things were things that actually highlighted very well. When I tell people, do you have any volunteer experience? You're a student right now, you're listening to me, you need volunteer experience because people want to see that aside from your degree, they want to see that you actually have put these things to practice. Nobody's going to say because you're a student, you're just coming out from school. Because trust me, there are other students. I've done CVs for students who have done tremendous things in school. They have tremendous volunteer experience, and I wasn't surprised when they got the interview, right? So these are things that you need to actually look out for even while you're on campus, right? So it could mean reordering also your points on your CV to make sure that you're highlighting these skills very well. Things like now, for example, you're applying for a nursing job. Nobody wants to know that you were the maybe you were the what they call this thing now, social prefect or something. Like it's not relevant. Do you understand? Always look at the relevant things. Okay, someone asked a question. So what exactly are we supposed to be posting on LinkedIn? Okay, so can I ask you also a question that what niche would you say you are? Like what do you do or what are you trying to apply for and all of that? Because that will now determine what you're supposed to be posting on LinkedIn. So I'm personally a person that likes to, I would call myself a personal development enthusiast, right? So everything that I'm posting on my LinkedIn has to do with things to inspire people to develop themselves. Do you understand? So sometimes I could just post something, maybe that just came to me, and okay, so I was thinking, right? LinkedIn is about being authentic, and this is just free of charge. LinkedIn is about being authentic, right? Because as much as your CV is like the paper, LinkedIn wants to see your face, want to see you in the nitty gritty and all of that, right? What do you use to create your CV if not MS Word? There are other softwares you can use, and much better would be to even give it to someone that knows how to create a CV professionally. Why? Because you know that at that point, they already have the systems, they already have the structure. All they are going to be giving you is what is a CV that's going to land you an interview. Do you understand that? So yes, as much as I encourage people to create your CV yourself, if you don't have access to some of these softwares, if you don't have access to some of these things, I would advise that you just give it out to someone that can get your CV done. So I was asking a question before to someone. You need to know what your brand is to know what you are supposed to be posting on LinkedIn. If you're applying for social media management jobs, that means we want to see what you do in relation to social media management. Do you understand that? So have a clear mindset of what your goals and your experiences are, right? And that would determine the things that you do. And last thing I wanted to say when we talk about what recruiters do for is even if you're going to be doing your CV yourself, avoid cluttering like don't just type like you're typing a document. Give space, make it organized because nobody has time, basically. Nobody has time. All right. So I'm going to move to the next slide. Okay, just this last question. And then I'm going to move to the next slide. So what if I have medicine degree? What then do I post? Okay, so you are doing medicine. That means you need to be going for health talks. You need to be engaging yourself in seminars. You need to be, so when you have things like that, let's say your school is organizing, even if it's your department, organizing a seminar, participate, attend, so that you can just write something on your CV like, oh, I attended this session, I learned this, and it was so amazing. I got so inspired, because people want to see that you are who you actually say you are. That's like your professional social media. Do you understand? And I hope that answers your question. All right, so that we don't waste so much time, I'm going to be looking at why your CV alone does not get you the job. Okay, why your CV alone will not get you the job. Okay, so I think I've touched this a bit, but I'm going to expatiate. And I'm going to talk about, because I said job search hacks, right? So I'm going to give you some hacks as well. So what is your CV's role? Like I said, your CV is your first impression. Your CV is supposed to get you noticed. Do you understand that? Your CV is simply to get you noticed, right? So you want people to be able to see you and say, okay, this is who this person is from her CV, right? So it opens your door, it opens the doors to opportunities, but it does not what give you the job. It only opens up the job, the interview to you. So when you go to the interview, then you actually need to prove yourself. You know, sometimes when I do CV for people and they're telling me, just put this, just put that, I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, when you don't get the job, don't come for me, because you can't blame me at that point. Common reasons why people don't get hired. What do you think are the common reasons that you probably, maybe you've applied for a job and it feels like you haven't gotten a job before? Why do you think that? Why do you think that people don't get hired for the jobs that they apply for? It's very simple. Like I said earlier, you're applying for the wrong jobs. You're applying for the wrong jobs. Once the job is wrong, then it is wrong. Like I said before, like, you know, when people say, I want to have a general CV, and I say, there's nothing as a general CV. Now, I've given an example of myself. I said, okay, so I'm a nurse, right? And I'm also a social media manager, right? So at the same time, now imagine applying for a job, and I'm applying for a job as a social media manager, and I have my nursing degree there. Nobody needs to know. The only certification they'll actually probably want to see is that, okay, maybe I went on a training for social media management. So the biggest problem is poor job search strategy. Think about what you actually want to do. Can I ask us, what are the current jobs you're applying for, so that I can maybe try to streamline what I'm talking about today? What are the jobs that you're applying for? What are the things, even if you're a student, what are some of the jobs that you're looking to apply for? And funny enough, you can get jobs for things that you necessarily were not even trained for in school. Really. So, what are the kind of jobs that you're applying for? Can I see any of us respond? What are some of the jobs that you're trying to apply for in this season? Anyone? Anyone wants to share? Okay, someone says social media manager. All right, great. So that means for you, I'm waiting for others as well. So that means for you, you have to also know your niche. Can I ask you, okay, you're a social media manager, what niche exactly do you focus on? And what basically is a niche, you know, more or less like your your area of specialty. For example, I got reached out to manage a page for a personal brand, and I am not necessarily a personal brand person, right? But it's something that I've also been fascinated about. So at the same time, you don't want to apply for a job that you have no experience in, or you have no interest in. That's the worst. Do you understand? Like when I said I applied for a job and I had no interest in the business. I think it was a fashion brand, and I had no interest in fashion. Good. So that means your social media management should be tailored according to this. Means you have to be up to date with fashion trends and all of that. Do you understand? So that means when you're looking at a job that you're applying for, look at the description. Don't apply for a tech company. You know, don't apply for don't just apply because you're not going to get results. Someone says virtual assistant. Okay, so you want to be a virtual assistant. for what kind of brand? What niche do you want to focus on as well? Can I hear from you? What niche would you like to focus on? Because being a virtual assistant, yes, you can be a virtual assistant for anyone, but having a niche is what makes you like unique. Do you understand? So it's like, okay, maybe I want to be a virtual assistant for a personal brand. Maybe someone, like when I say personal brand, I mean like someone themselves. Like maybe you want to be a virtual assistant for me, meaning that anything I do, you want to be my virtual assistant. Or you want to be a virtual assistant for maybe a particular business brand. Like you want to be a virtual assistant for maybe a CEO that has a brand, like so you actually have to work with his brand. So you actually have to be someone that has to, basically you have to understand your niche. That's just what I'm trying to say. So that is what you need to understand in job search strategy. The person that said you're studying medicine, okay, so right now you might not be exactly applying for jobs, but you can actually, what you can be doing right now is even volunteer experience really, but you can apply for ambassadorship, right? I'm just trying to open up your mind to see the possibilities of the things that you can actually do. Another thing mistake people make is poor or weak interview skills. Now you've got weak interview skills, and that's why sometimes you need training on these things. I went for an interview and it was like as if it was as though I was, there's a part of confidence even in people say be confident and say rubbish. Well, I wouldn't encourage you to say rubbish, but there's a part of confidence when it comes to you going for an interview. Do you understand that? So you need to have proper interview skills. Otherwise, even if you get a job, even if you get the interview, you won't get a job. So they're asking you questions. You must be bold enough to say, okay, I've done this, I've done that, I've proved myself. And I believe I'm talking to people that probably don't have so much experience, meaning you're a student, you're a graduate, so you don't have so much experience in that sense. So you need to be confident in whatever it is that you've done. And let the people that are interviewing you, let them know that, look, I've got what it takes. I've done this before and I've gotten certain level of results. I might not have years of experience, but I know what I'm doing, right? So you need to be able to what represent yourself. An interview basically is you're selling yourself. I want you to be able to say, I can trust this person. I want you to be able to say at the end of the day that this person, what this person is, I can trust this person, basically. The next problem is poor networking, right? So another thing is people don't really understand how to leverage networks. When you're searching for a job, there are things, I don't know how many of us know about communities where you actually get jobs, virtual jobs, especially for, I think most of the jobs that you guys have mentioned have been virtual apart from the medicine, right? So do you know how you can do you know that there are communities that exist on WhatsApp, on Telegram that help you to gain jobs? Do we know about those communities? I'm pretty sure that most people don't. So you want to apply for, you're looking for a job, and you're not, so you're just waiting for it to fall on your lap. You're not networking with people. And LinkedIn is also a good way to also network with people. But these groups are very easy if you're maybe you don't have so much time to really do that. But these jobs are very, very, I mean, these groups are very easy. All you need to be there. I think there's one particular one, there's Upwork skill community, right? There are several of them like that where you can get these kind of virtual jobs. So rather than just saying, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job, can you position yourself well with proper networking, right? So don't just rely on I'll just apply and I'll just apply. And also when you also even know people as well, people can give you good recommendations. I hope we know that there's a part of LinkedIn where you can get recommendations. That's also something that people look out for when they look at your LinkedIn profile. Who can recommend you and say, I give this person a thumbs up that they can actually do what they say they can do. So that's why networking is so important. So for those of us that you're on LinkedIn and a stranger sends you a message and it's asking you, oh, I saw that you're a writer. What kind of things do you write? Please reply them. They are not trying to toast you. You know, they are not trying. LinkedIn, I believe LinkedIn is a professional platform. I know that people might misuse it, but nobody's trying to, be funny. People are trying to network because they understand that for you to be successful in career, in your business, you need to leverage your network, right? You need to leverage your network. So be friendly, start up conversations, comment on people's posts on LinkedIn, people that align with what you do or what you like to do, right? So the next one is cultural fit. And I think I've talked about this briefly where I talked about company and candidates mismatch, right? So you're not a right fit for the company. It's not you, it's them. Do you get? right? So you don't even apply, don't bother applying for jobs that don't fit. Especially also, can I say this? Especially jobs that underpay. Now I know that there's this rush to want to just get a job, but do not take a job that underpays you. I hope we can all hear me on that. Do not take a job that underpays you. You will be unsatisfied, you'll be unfulfilled, you will not deliver on your deliverables, and neither you or your employer will be happy. So at the end of the day, it's just a waste of everybody's time, and you will not last in those kind of companies. If you've been here, maybe you even get jobs, and your job doesn't last 2 months, then you need to actually check: was I a right fit for this company, and were they a right fit for me? So if I know your job is asking me to show up, I'm a social media manager, your job is asking me to show up physically to come and take content, for example, it's not in my line of work. Do you understand that? So I'm not going to engage with that. So as a virtual assistant, like as well, you should have your time limit. So if this person is telling you that they are going to be calling you at 11 p.m., you are not a good fit for me. And we should be able to say no to that, right? Last one is some candidates lowball some companies rather lowball candidates, meaning they offer lower pay than deserved, and that's what I just finished talking about, right? Third one is why a great CV will not always get you the job is applying for the right job. It matters a whole lot. Some companies undervalue skilled candidates and offer low pay or overload them with work. You need to be able to apply for the right thing. Yes, you might have the skill set and everything, but make sure you're applying for the right job that has the right pay, that has the right fit for your line of work. I tell people that, for example, you're a student or you have other things that you're doing, you can't be applying for a job that is requiring you to take your whole day, right? Because you will not be able to deliver. I remember getting a job offer to I think around the time I was about to do a particular program, and I got a job offer to be a writer, um, and I was going to have to basically I was going to have to show up from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. And I also had to go to a physical place to work, right? And I was like, no, this is not a good fit for me. I cannot be online all through the day because I am not going to be able to, right? So you also need to be able to apply for the right jobs. Number two is you must learn how to recognize red flags. Red flags are not just for relationships. There are red flags even in applying for jobs, right? So you must learn how to notice what the red flags are and apply for companies that match your value. So sometimes the problem is not always you. It might be them. And then not every rejection also means that your CV was bad. I hope you guys got that. Not every rejection means your CV was bad. Sometimes the company just wasn't a right fit for you. And that's why, if you're unsure about your job applications, this training was actually brought to you by Your Digital Aid, which is a company I run, right? So if you're unsure about your job applications, we have career consultations that can help you as well, right? So you can know exactly the kind of right jobs to apply for. Everything I've given to you today is basically general knowledge, right? It's just for you to have the basics. But if you want something very, very important, then you can always reach out to us. Okay, so I put a bit of job search strategies here. Like I mentioned, the ATS friendly CV, industry specific, strategic applications as well. Apply for jobs strategically. Don't mass apply. Don't apply to 10 jobs and expect that one will click. you know, I've heard that so many times. I don't know how many of us have done that here before. You just mass apply 50, just all the jobs on LinkedIn that says social media, just mass apply is wrong. You cannot get results from that. LinkedIn optimization is also so important, right? So my brand also provides LinkedIn optimization. So important to optimize your LinkedIn profile. When we come to your LinkedIn profile, what we want to see is that it matches whatever is on your CV. So even if maybe you're applying for a social media management job, I'm not saying your CV should only carry that, right? Even if you have other facets of life that you do, you should also have that day. Just also let them know that you're a resource person. Do you understand that? So your bio, what does your bio look like? What does your profile look like? I might come into your profile and I just see something like graduated from X university. I find that so funny. Graduated from X university. That's all that you're telling us about you. I'm not impressed. So even if you tell me, oh, I am this, I'm not impressed, right? Interview preparations, like I said, prepare for your interviews, right? Look at possible questions and everything. A good CV cannot save you from a bad interview, no matter how good your CV was, right? Networking, like I've said, build a strong network of because 70% of your jobs usually come from networking. People referring you and saying, this person did a good job. Most of the jobs I've even gotten have been based on, networking, right? People saying, okay, well, I love what you did. I'd like you to do something else for me. So we're wrapping up in a bit, and I just want to just mention a few things and probably just take a few questions, right? Just take a few questions as we end. So key takeaways. What are the key things that you say you have learned so far? Can I hear from us as well in the chat box, whether you're on Telegram or you're on YouTube? Can I hear from us? What are some of the key things? Before I share my own key takeaways, let me take out the slide. Before I share my own key takeaways, what are some of the things that you say you have learned so far? Like maybe the particular thing that you say has marked your mind. Can I hear from us? Can I hear from us? What are the particular things that has marked your mind? That you're saying that I'm going to take this step, right? There's a saying that says, it is not knowledge really that changes you. It is knowledge that is acted upon really that changes you. So let me see, let me see you, let me see you. What exactly have you learned so far? What exactly have you like taken note of that you feel like is something you would like to focus on? Am I getting comments? Let me see if I can see comments from Telegram as well. Okay. Anyone? Anyone wants to share what they're taking away? I have said quite some number of things. So I'd like to hear from you. Just one thing that marked your mind. It could be that maybe when I said, I think for me, because I'm also, like they say whenever you teach people, you learn more, right? I think for me, it's just really understanding that your CV is just opening up the doors for you, right? It's not the main thing. Okay. So it's very, very important so that you don't put yourself down and at the same time you do what you're supposed to do as well. So while I'm waiting for our comments, I'm still waiting for our comments. I'm just gonna kickstart into the key takeaways because we'll be wrapping up very, very soon. You know, crafting your compelling CV means you focus on keywords, right? Keywords, right? So important. What are the keywords? And that means that, as well, when you are trying to, because sometimes we think the problem is with even the person that helps you to do the CV. I don't know you. I only know what you tell me, right? About you, right? So at the end of the day, you need to be able to give me concrete word to work with, right? You need to be able to give me concrete words to work with. You need to be able to tell me what you volunteered on. I want you to leave here today and say, I'm going to take opportunities around me. Even being a student doesn't mean that you should do less. I remember doing a CV for one person, and I was like, I was so proud because I've never seen a student that was so intentional about, his career, and he was applying for a job that I mean, I can't even remember, but it was applying for a job that I think was has something to do with being an ambassador for something. I was like, that is that's so intentional, right? So focus on achieving things. Don't just be a doing person. Focus on achieving things. What have you brought to the table with whatever you've been able to do? So even if you're a medical student, even if you're saying I don't want to venture into soft skills and all of that, what things exactly can you do while you're in school to leverage and make yourself stand out than that that's basically it. Achievements are what make you stand out, to be able to say, okay, during the time of being this, I was able to start a campaign that helped 30 people. I was able right, can we hear me? To share my screen once again. Okay, I'm gonna try to share my screen once again. Okay, so I was talking about key takeaways. So if you don't remember anything that has been said, remember this. If you don't remember anything that has been said, I was saying something about rights. Please let me know you can hear me again so that I'm not just talking. So I was talking about write CV. In case you forget anything, remember, write CV, write job search, write company. Look at what you want for yourself, look at what you desire, and then apply as such, right? And prepare yourself. Let me put this as an added takeaway. Prepare yourself in advance. You know, we don't, it's not when you graduate from school, you're now trying to look at what did I do, what did I not do, right? Right where you are, start doing things. I'm super glad for the students that are here, right? Start doing things that can help you. And even if you're done with school, take trainings, take courses, volunteer here and there. It proves you as a resource person. And people really like people that, they know that I'm not just I can um get you on board for the job, but I also know that you're a person of value, right, to my company. So interview preparation, practice your interview skills. Let someone, talk with you about, because it's one thing to get the interview, right? And another thing for you to get it done. Sometimes you go for an interview and you say, "Ah, I didn't mention this." So you have to have everything out in the sense that you need to know, okay, these are my strengths, these are my this. You must be able to tell them, I've been able to do this. It's not bragging, it's you are being able to prove yourself, right? Then networking. Like I said, build relationship with people. You want to be a top virtual assistant, then you need to check for people on LinkedIn, people that are doing what you do. Follow them, like their posts, comment, engage. They're having a training here, engage. Do a post about it. It's actually not so hard. And LinkedIn even has a way of scheduling your posts as well. So it's a great way for you to do that, right? And networking. Okay, I've talked about it already. So I think that's just what brings me to the end, right? So I'm going to do this and I'm going to ask us, to ask a few questions, as we wrap up. Do you have questions? Do you have questions? Do you have things you'd like to clarify? I'll just take the next few minutes to just attend to any questions that we might have concerning our CV and job search hacks, right? Any questions you might have, any particular questions? And if you don't have, can you just say none? So I know that maybe you're not typing, so that I know that we're done for the session, right? Any questions? And if possible, I also like to know, what exactly you've gained so far, right? What exactly you've gained so far? What action will you be taking? It's like I was saying before, action is what actually proves that revelation or knowledge has been impacted, right? So what actions are you taking now? Can I see us? Whether you're on Telegram, you're on YouTube, can I see us? Can I see us? Can I see your comments coming in? What actions are you going to take? Are you going to stop using Microsoft Word for your CV? Are you gonna stop mass applying for jobs? Are you going to stop mass applying for jobs? Are you going to stop what are you going to stop doing? What are you going to start doing? Are you going to start taking volunteer experiences? Are you going to start taking internships, to improve your skill set? Are you going to take a training? Are you going to take a course? You know, And for those of you asking what your okay, someone says networking. Thank you. Whatever those of you asking before what you're going to post on LinkedIn. I mean, this is a great start, right? You attended something like this, so you can be able to, I learned something, and I did this, and this was such an amazing session. This is what I learned, and all of that. Very important. So that can also be a post for your LinkedIn. Basically, just you sharing your experiences as regards your professional career. Okay, I'm seeing someone else say something. Any other comments? Someone says take trainings and courses that will boost my CV. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So I'm just going to end with this, right? So this whole training was brought to you by Your Digital Aid, which is a brand that I host, right? Basically, we offer services in CV and LinkedIn optimization. So we help you to do these things actually. We help you create professional CVs that are ATS friendly and help you to optimize your LinkedIn profile, right? To help you optimize your LinkedIn profile as well. So your LinkedIn profile actually looks appealing. We also help with strategic job search guidance. So whether you're a student on campus, you're looking for okay, what exactly can I do, and all of that. We also have consultations like that. We have packages for group consultations as well because students, you might just want to have something with your a group of your friends in the same network or department. So we have things like that. And we also do mock interviews as well, right? So basically, we are all about you. Everything that has to do with your career and your branding, right? We're all about you. We build those compelling CVs for you. We help you to optimize your LinkedIn profiles and help you with your applications, right? So that's basically, and so we're here for you. We have an offer that's going to be coming up for everyone that attended this session, everyone that's on our community. So if you'd like to be interested in that offer, you need to be on the community group so that you can get the offer. We're going to be offering I don't know if I should say it now. We're going to be offering discounted prices for CVs. So be you a student or you're a graduate or whatever sphere you are, we're going to have discounted prices for CVs, right? And so that you can actually start to build yourself. Okay. So as I take the close now, do we have any questions? Any questions? Or I should ask mine. I don't know if someone asked a question on Telegram. I can't quite see it. Okay, can you repeat your question? Said what are the pros and cons of choosing a job in relation to your personality? You don't have a degree yet. What exactly can your CV be at this point? Okay, so I'm going to take the second question first, then I'll come to the first. So you don't have a degree yet doesn't stop you from having a CV. I mentioned the fact that I've done a CV for someone who is a student, right? And I think he already has certain things that put him in line for what he's doing, for what he wants to do. I can't remember what he was studying, but what he was even doing had nothing really to do with what he was studying. But he had positioned himself so much by taking some particular courses and trainings and going for volunteer experience with things he actually liked to do. And that was what helped him to say, you know what, I want to take this particular job because I have the experience for it. Right. So that's your CV doesn't have to be empty. If you're a you are saying choosing a job in relation to your personality, I wouldn't really say your personality, I would say your interest. Basically your interest. What do you like to do? What would you like to do even if you were not paid for it? Do you understand that? What would you like to do even if you were not paid for it? That is something that is so important. It can help you to also navigate what eventually you like to do. How did I start out being a social media management? I ended up being a public relations officer in my department. And I was just so intrigued with social media, the management and everything. And I got interested in it. And I said, you know what? Why not? Took a course and here I am today. But even before I took my course, I already landed jobs. Why? Because I already had the experience from what I did in the university, right? So your CV does not necessarily have to be even in line with what you're studying in school. You can have a CV completely different. I have close to 3 CVs. So I know what I'm applying for and where I'm applying to at every given point in time, right? So starting where you are is very important. Okay. You don't need to have a job in your school. You don't need to have a job within your academic niche. You can, but you don't necessarily need to. Like I said, interest is what matters, right? You can explore. And I tell people, when you live your life, basically, you set yourself up to discover yourself, right? When you basically just live your life. I didn't plan to want to do social media management or even what I'm doing right now. I just realized that I could do it, took courses, and I just realized, you know what, let's do this, right? So it's basically you setting yourself up for opportunities. I think that's just what I'll say. And I think if we don't have any questions, I will just be ending the session here with a charge, right? If you've not gotten anything out of this, if you want to forget anything, basically don't forget this one special, one important thing. Your CV represents you. It is the first impression. If I want to know the kind of person you are, right? If I want to know the kind of person you are, when it comes to whatever it is you say you can do, I'm going to look at your CV. And your CV lets me know that, I want to give you my time to have an interview with you because, having interviews is a person's time, is a company's time. So they don't want to waste their time with people that they feel are not worth it or are not up to it. So if you don't even remember anything I've said, remember this one thing. Your CV is your first impression. So let your first impression matter. Let it not be shabby. Don't pass over opportunities repeatedly and tell yourself that I'll eventually find a job. Nobody's going to offer you a job out of pity because they're going to pay you, right? So put value on your CV so that you can get value, right? You can get value at the end of your CV. All right. Thank you guys so much. I am so excited to have had this session with you all, and I am super ecstatic, right? Like I said, please make sure that you're on the WhatsApp Growth community. If you're watching this later, make sure you're on the WhatsApp Growth community because I'm going to be sharing an offer exclusively for those that are on the group and even for those that are on the community, right? To get your CVs crafted, to get your LinkedIn pages optimized, right, at a discounted price. This is my own way of saying thank you for being a part of this. And stay on the community because I'm going to be bringing so many tips along the line, networking opportunities as well. So it doesn't matter what exactly you're doing, but networking opportunities are going to be available. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Have an amazing, amazing day, night, whatever time you're watching this. I love you guys, and I remain Ololade Ige, and this was sponsored by Your Digital Aid. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.